So, as you mentioned, at a certain point when the block reward stops, there will be a transition where miners will be compensated in transaction fees, not in the block reward. And the current amount that they earn is from fees is about 9% of the block reward. And so we'd have to see transaction fees 11x by roughly 2140, which is when the new Bitcoins will stop being minted. But I just wondered, if we don't see an increase in the amount of transactions that can happen at layer one, because the number of layer one transactions is limited. And right now, I feel like a lot of the scaling is focusing on layer two. Can transaction fees 11x in that time, or will that require people to pay a lot more per transaction?
The KPI for for what we're looking at right now, which the question we're trying to answer is, are transaction fees replacing the block subsidy in the block reward? So are newly minted coins, are they, as those decrease, is that value being replaced by the subsidy? And so we can calculate that. That would be our primary KPI. So you could look at transaction fees over the subsidy, transaction fees in a block divided by the subsidy, and you brought up that that's at 9%. If we look at that historically and we make it like a rolling 60-day to smooth it out a little bit, and we look at this over time on a log curve, it's very much trending in the right direction where 11x sounds like a lot. But Bitcoin moves in really intense cycles where we've all seen it go from 1,000 to 10,000 or 20,000. When that happens, that means there's not an equivalent, but a directional rise in transactions and transaction fees. And so we have seen transaction fees replace the subsidy over time. And so it very much is trending in the right direction to where over the next couple halving cycles, we should see it start to predominantly be the value that is compensated to the miners in the block reward. If Bitcoin doesn't become adopted, if it remains a more niche sort of a service for humankind where only, so let's say 20 million people use it, well, then its long-term security will be weak. If Bitcoin is the world reserve currency that doesn't have a strong security model, like there's not a lot of monetary compensation in the block reward due to transaction fees, well, will that be a bad scenario? Well, it's an impossible scenario because if it is the world reserve currency, there will be very, very many layer one transaction fees.
Okay, yeah. So it sounds like you think it is possible people might consider that because, or rather, it's possible that the amount in transaction fees will maybe not be enough on layer one to replace the block reward when the time comes.